from everywhere USA. It's Fox Across America with Jimmy Failla.
Oh, yes, it is. And we are fired up and coming to you live from the greatest country in the world, broadcasting from the tippy top of the world-famous Fox News headquarters in New York City. It is Fox Across America with Jimmy Failla, a man who is not on the Epstein client list.
He is so full of shit, this guy.
No, that's not. I am not. But the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, is supposed to be releasing it any minute now.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Well, I feel just fine, but we're certainly going to get some good radio entertainment out of it on a stacked deck of a show. I'm going to dive right in, though, on the Pam Bondi stuff and talk Epstein with you for a minute. Now, we don't know where this is going to go. In truth, I don't actually have high hopes. I'd expect a lot of this to be heavily redacted. And, you know, the fact that somebody went to Epstein Island and might be on one of these flight manifests is not the same as someone going dozens and dozens of times. Okay, the guy who went once and was like, yeah, I don't know about this, you know, that's possible. But the guy who went 12 times, okay, absolutely positively knew what was happening and had no problem being a part of it.
Correctamundo.
But for that reason, I don't think they're going to release a lot of information, because if you're not accusing somebody of a crime, then you're kind of defaming their character by just associating them with one. So I don't know the legal channel that we'd swim through on this. But my top line thought is that, you know, regardless, we still don't know in this moment what's getting released. So there are a lot of really powerful people that are really, really nervous right now.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
I mean, man, the one thing I'll tell you about the Epstein death, okay, August 10th, 2019 is when he was officially declared dead, is it kind of renewed my faith in Washington, because Epstein turning up dead was proof that D.C. could still work together on a bipartisan basis if they needed to badly enough. Like, the Epstein death gave me hope. I was like, okay, if push comes to shove, Republicans and Democrats can get together and they can still get things done.
He knows what he's talking about.
I don't know. But it's a funny footnote to history, and you've probably heard me cover this on the air on the TV show. The night's so crazy. I don't know what this means. But on the night Epstein was found dead in his cell, it was a Friday night, but technically speaking, he was found dead after midnight, so it became Saturday morning. And, you know, as legend has it, Epstein was depressed about the fact that he was now in custody and facing another court case. And his depression was so powerful that it knocked out the guard watching the cell, disabled the cameras that would otherwise be filming the cell, and lo and behold, put a device into a guy who was on suicide watch's cell that enabled him to hang himself. I know we've all been there. I've been depressed. I've lost a lot of money betting sports. I've been dumped by women. You all know what it's like to get so depressed that it knocks out a guard and disables a camera system. I mean, who among us hasn't been there in that situation?
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
I don't know. But maybe he hung himself. Maybe he legitimately hung himself. That could be a thing.
Are you stupid or something?
I don't know. I'm just laughing at the insanity of it all. But what you need to know is, this is just funny. On Friday night, August 9th, 2019, I was leaving. It's called Morning Show Boot Camp in Chicago, which is an annual get-together where morning shows from around the country show up and kind of talk, and leaders of radio kind of share what they've learned this year, things that are working for the stations, things that aren't. I was there as a comedian to MC something called Battle of the Bits. And essentially, morning shows were judging their funniest comedy bit of the year, and me, as kind of like a pretend celebrity comedian, decided who won. Okay, that was the actual gig. Well, lo and behold, when the gig was over that day and I was flying out of O'Hare International Airport, the inbound flight to O'Hare, first two people to come off the flight are Bill and Hillary Clinton.
Oh, wow.
Not interesting at the time, other than the fact that it's Bill and Hillary Clinton. And yes, I always assumed I would meet Bill Clinton. I just assumed it would be in a Hooters, you know?
This is not okay.
But there was Hillary, the people's pantsuit, standing all of about 4'10", and they took a lot of selfies. You might have seen them on my TV show. I've posted them before. We might talk about the show this weekend and share them again. And, you know, I don't know what to make of that other than 5 or 6 hours later, Epstein was found dead in his jail cell. Now, I'm not saying they were flying commercial to establish an alibi or anything like that. I'm just saying in the Forrest Gump of a life that I lead, it's really funny to run into people loosely associated with that story on the eve of, or even the very night that he winds up accidentally or maybe intentionally killing himself. Again, depression is not something we take lightly on the show, and we've all seen that level of depression. You know, maybe you're a lifelong sports fan. Maybe you're rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs and they lost the Super Bowl and you got so bummed out, it knocked out 2 security guards and disabled the camera system. I mean, we've been there, okay? As it happened to Epstein, it could happen to any of us. But I'm joking. But the point is, when there's that many powerful people involved, the public is absolutely going to be cynical, especially when we understand the checkered past that Epstein had as it pertains to interacting with powerful people like Prince Andrew, that, you know, for all intents and purposes, Buckingham Palace excommunicated the guy, believing his actions to be real. And then you have the, you know, litany of former presidents and guys like Bill Clinton and Bill Gates who have a lot of money and a lot of power. I'm not telling you they did anything wrong. I have no idea. But anytime he's fraternizing with those types of people, okay, and winds up hanging himself under very suspicious circumstances, most people start to draw their own conclusions. Fair or unfair, this is not a court of law. It is very much a court of public opinion. But here is Pam Bondi saying that we're going to be done speculating any minute now because she's releasing the files. This is clip 1.
There are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. But other than that, I think tomorrow, you know, the personal information of victims. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
Whoa. And the DNC has released a statement in response. No, we don't actually know. But I've heard so many far-ranging theories about Epstein and how he potentially blackmailed his guest and was sex trafficking all of these underage women. And understand, we know that part to be true because there was a plea deal where he pled guilty to this very thing and was placed under house arrest. And his attorney, Alan Dershowitz, who's been on the show quite a bit, also got some type of legal immunity for himself while negotiating on behalf of Epstein.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that there's anything related to him. I just know that that was one of the things he explained on the show, and we were like, well, that's interesting. But here's Pam Bondi giving us a greater sense of what we might expect to see. Clip 2.
Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah, what you're going to see hopefully tomorrow is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information, but it's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay, well,
along with his co-defendant.
Absolutely, and he had help. That's for sure.
He sure did.
Yes, he did. And understand, his madam is alive. Ghislaine Maxwell knows everything that's on this list, knows everyone who was at those parties, and I can tell you this from. I would have to think as good of a source as there is on Epstein as exists. The way this was explained to me once, okay, without getting too far into the woods on this, the way I don't know this to be true. I'm trying to be a responsible broadcaster when it comes to this sort of thing, and I don't, you know, I want to be open with you about the fact that this is pure speculation that someone once shared with me. He was, of course, throwing all of these wild sex parties, similar to what P. Diddy is now in trouble for, and importing people across state lines and from other countries, and a lot of them happen to be underage. So you follow that portion of the story. Okay, where it gets complicated and starts to ensnare powerful people is I was told that basically all these powerful people were flying down there knowing what this guy's deal was. He's a pervert. The plane is called the Lolita Express. Okay, are you getting on a plane called the Lolita Express to a place nicknamed Pedophile Island because you don't have any background in what might be going on? Hey, honey, is anyone calling the wife and saying, hey, I'm not going to be around this weekend. I'm flying to Pedophile Island? Hey, babe, you go ahead and take the kids to the soccer game. I'm flying the Lolita Express to Pedophile Island. And now we're going to sit here with a straight face and believe nobody knew what was going on?
Sell crazy someplace else. We're all stocked up here.
But what I was told, and this is interesting, I can't prove this to be true, but it makes sense. Everybody always wonders how he made his money. How did he make all this money? You know, the guy never had like a disclosed form of business, yet had these, multi-million-dollar properties, had, hundreds of billions of dollars in wealth that he managed, and was frolicking with all of these super famous people, but there was really no origin for him knowing any of them, other than the fact that, I'm going to be honest, people like a good orgy from time to time.
He's a lousy dad, but he's right.
But stick with me, okay? So I think what was happening to a lot of these orgy goers is they were flying down there, getting massages and sex on the plane and things we've already read about, all those sensationalist details. Sorry to take it there, kids, but this is the kind of story we're covering. And understand what they were doing is essentially they had cameras all over the island. So big celebrities would go down there and, they'd hook up with all these chicks and underage chicks. Some of them were probably above age, but they were still being sex trafficked, and these people were married or public figures and had a lot to lose. So after the orgies were over in the morning, okay, they would mention to them that everything you did the night before was on tape. And anyway, just something to consider, because we are accepting donations to our charity, and we know good people like you want to support nice people like us. And, if you wanted to think, maybe throw a couple of bucks our way, we'd really appreciate it. And maybe help us keep an eye on those videotapes just the same. It's basically how it went.
Are you threatening me, sir?
Yes. And I think that's what was going down. I think he was extorting powerful people by videotaping them having sex with hookers and underage girls and getting money in return for destroying whatever surveillance he had. Doesn't mean he necessarily destroyed it, because the guy blackmailing you isn't exactly likely to keep his word on anything. If he's as despicable enough to blackmail you, despicable enough to traffic underage girls. But the point is, there were so many powerful people ensnared in this that it was believed that Epstein was some type of intelligence asset and had so much dirt on so many powerful people that he almost thought he was immune to this sort of thing. And when he got shipped back to America and wound up in a jail cell again and realized this was a full-throated prosecution, he started to think in ways that might violate the trust these powerful people had put in him. And maybe, hey, I'll tell the story. Maybe Ghislaine will release the black book. And I guess the idea of Ghislaine dusting off the book and sharing it with the authorities depressed Epstein so much to have to give up his precious black book, that it killed him. And we've all been there, And you can tell me the government killed him. I'd believe it. You could tell me he killed himself. I'd sort of believe it. Okay, but what you can't tell me is that what was going on there was above board, and that the idea of so many powerful people being privy to it and having so much to lose doesn't make you a little bit cynical, is all I'm trying to say. You've all seen Major League. This is the closest thing we have here at Fox News to the wild thing, Ricky Vaughn. He did leave his sleeves on for once. Bill Hemmer's here. The crowd goes wild. Good to see you.
Hey, nice to be with you, Jimmy. It's been a minute. Good to be back with you as always.
Bittersweet. We lose 95-year-old Gene Hackman at an age when a lot of people are just getting ready to run for a term in Congress. He leaves us. The late, great Gene Hackman. It's obviously a moment of celebration.
Yeah.
The Hackman films, really quick for me. I'll just throw a few at you. I love Unforgiven. Little Bill, he's the sheriff.
Really good.
Gets into a little bit of a dust-up with my man Clint Eastwood at the end. Yeah. The French Connection's great, and everybody talks about it. You know what one doesn't get enough heat in any of these memoriams? Is The Conversation. Which is, he's out in Frisco and he's working as like an audio engineer, and he picks up a conversation that he can tell has some, bad intentions behind it, and drives himself to the ends of the earth trying to figure it out. And it's one of those deals.
Was he a detective?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what, though?
Yeah.
You know what you're missing?
Give it to me.
By the way, I didn't know he made 100 movies.
It's a zillion.
I mean, really. I mean, the breadth of range and talent he has is remarkable. Listen, if you grow up in southwestern Ohio, there is one movie.
I know it's got a basketball
that just goes right to your bone marrow.
It is.
And that's Hoosiers.
Straight up.
And he dominated that film.
Straight
and
up.
You're a high school kid or a college kid. How can you not be pumped up watching that?
When you talk about the generations of athletes who've consumed Hoosiers, It's probably
right.
the most consumed sports movie of the last 40 years.
It's such underdogs.
Yeah, it's a great.
It's like 1980 hockey.
It's
Lake Placid. And it's right up there with it, I think. I really do. But Hackman was amazing. He was the right person for that role as coach.
100%. You bring up Lake Placid, but the reboot to Miracle on Ice actually stars Tom Homan. It's a deportation film. I'm kidding. Hey, good night, everybody.
But,
Miracle on Ice. Here comes Homan.
Thank you, Governor.
There it is. So, we were talking about that and just general chicanery. We got the Oscars coming up. We've got some political stuff going on.
Have you seen many movies?
No. I've watched this year. No, I haven't seen most of them. I've seen.
You want my
Wicked.
rundown?
Yeah, give it to me.
You've seen Wicked? I have not.
Okay, it's like the one I saw on a flight. For my money, no.
Did you take Lincoln?
But I was actually on a flight. It was on one of those.
That's on the airplane already?
Yeah, it was on It was on a device. Is all I'll say.
Oh, okay.
One of my friend gets screeners because he votes in the Academy.
Gotcha.
So I watched it on a device. Quick flight down. But tell me what Hammer
No
knows.
Direction Home, A Complete Unknown, like
Timothy
a Rolling
Chalamet,
Stone. That was really great.
Great.
I think she is amazing.
Yeah.
I think she should win Best Supporting Actress.
She's got a shot. I think she
Joan
might be a
Baez.
favorite. Yeah.
I saw Honora last week.
Ooh.
Woo!
How about
diggity
it? Let's
dog.
talk about that.
Well, it's I don't know. Should we say racy? There were moments of like the Farley brothers in the middle of that film. She's actually amazing.
Yep.
She was in every scene for 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
A lot of physical acting too, which you don't see a lot these days.
Yeah.
I could see her winning.
Okay.
We'll see. Haven't seen Dune.
Okay.
Haven't seen Wicked.
Fair. I can get you some screeners if need be.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
what am I missing?
One of my buddies, No Direction Home, I think, is where the big action is. And what's the movie that...
A Complete Unknown.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of the movie where, Conclave or Amelia Perez.
That's right. I saw Conclave.
Well, everyone has to watch Conclave this week in case, heaven forbid, it doesn't work out for the Pope. You should know what the process is. So I started watching it the other night. I'm sending in my best wishes and vibes. I grew up in a Pope house.
Right.
I'm Polish.
Right. No,
half Polish, half Sicilian.
But keep it on the film.
Well, of course
what did you think about the last 5 minutes?
The best. Bill Hemmer's here functioning as standards and practices. And you got to do that. You're the guy, you're one half of America's newsroom. It's America's newsroom. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Thank you. I mean, you're America's newsroom. I am
all 50 states.
But let's be clear. You're America's newsroom. I'm America's newsroom with the apostrophe. So that.
Did you like Conclave?
Oh, it was good. It's a little slow for me.
Jimmy, sorry. The last 5 minutes.
I know, but
does that pass
There's
for
a
you?
twist that I didn't co-sign.
Okay.
I didn't sign up for that, and
and it could win.
Yeah, and it might win. But I also watch Conclave late at nights. This is funny. This is how it works. I watch things that Lincoln wants to watch when we're around. He's into Eastbound and Down, which was an HBO series about a bust-out major league pitcher.
Cool.
A lot of profanity. Danny McBride. He's a mess. He's got a lot of vices, and if you're a teenage kid, it's actually really funny. So he didn't stick around for Conclave. You know what I mean? That was the second showing. Yeah, he did. I did that.
Dad, I'm out of here.
Yeah, that was me and the dog.
Let me go check the scores.
It was me and the dog, and I think the dog went back out just the same. Bill Hemmer's here. It's not all movie talk and music. The other thing I was going to throw at you, to pivot into somewhat of a substantive exchange, is I've been having this conversation with everybody in our business. We are in a track meet now when you compare the coverage of this White House to the last one.
100%.
Without even getting into the substance of any issues, it's just been has it not been a bit of a lifestyle change for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right.
He's right.
When I think about it. Listen, I always thought, I used to work at CNN. When I came to Fox, I was like, man, if you're not moving at 110 miles an hour, coming in that door in the morning, all your colleagues are going to fly right by you. So you better come ready to work and work fast. I still feel that way. But now it's on Trump time, so it's 2.5x, right?
Yeah.
2.5.
Somebody.
Listen, I'm trying to gauge his workday these days.
Yeah.
Because it really seems like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon is when we start to see things on camera. And I just, what are they doing in the morning? Are they planning? Are they organizing? Are they directing? I imagine all of that.
Yep.
But it's just trying to get a sense of his flow.
Yeah.
He's going to be out today with the UK Prime Minister, I think, at 2 o'clock.
Yep.
I think Friday's going to be a huge day with Zelensky at the White House. I mean, really, that's a day of history.
Yeah.
Now, we'll see what Zelensky gives him, and then the ball is back in Putin's court.
Yeah.
And whether or not that meeting they really had in Saudi Arabia was something that the Russians really believed in.
Yeah.
They were giving us their word.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out. My question is, and this is purely speculative, do you think they're capable, emotionally capable of giving Donald Trump a Nobel Peace Prize? Just emotionally capable. We're not talking about the case on paper.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by Witkoff.
Yeah, me too.
And I think he might be like this all-star on the bench here. And we ran a clip this morning, and he talked about pulling Lebanon into this Middle East peace deal and talked about Syria. And you know who's governing Syria now? This is a guy who was in prison, Abu Ghraib, with the U.S. military. I've been thinking about those countries as being the outliers who could be a part of like Egypt, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, you know, your typical players. United Arab Emirates, etc. But if you get them involved too, that really is a regional deal. And if you did not do the Peace Prize at that point, what worthy is?
Yeah, why does the prize exist?
Why do you exist?
Why does the prize exist? And you know what no one's talking about? Because I see all the high-minded, well-informed, educated, and researched analysis people like you peddle. Okay, but you want to know what's coming from my side of town?
Yeah, hit me.
This is where Trump really closes this thing in the specific region you're citing. He actually has the backing of the Live Golf Tour if he wants to work that into this deal.
Right.
Now, we're a DJ and an 18-foot putt away from world peace here, Hemmer. You got to think on my terms.
Telling you.
I don't know that that's a qualified
Let's tee it up.
reaction. Bill Hammer's in studio.
I do think he's thinking about not just this Ukrainian situation, but the Middle East matter as well. And you have to pull Russia into that if you're going to involve Syria.
Yeah.
They have major sway and major influence. And I think he's thinking about all those pieces at the same time.
Yep.
Ain't gonna be easy.
No, I'll give him that too. But when you look at the ambition of this administration, and we covered this on the show the last time I was on your show with you. We were talking about DOGE cuts and the timeline they've outlined. I think it's obviously a very ambitious agenda, but I also think they're very time-minded right now because I don't think there's a huge window. I don't know that DOGE has 2 years because elections are going to happen and midterms are going to happen.
So this July of 2026 is their deadline day. Maybe it's extended, maybe it's not, but that's 4 months away from a midterm election.
Yeah. That's close.
All right?
Yeah.
Trump remembers what happened in 2018. Republicans got their butt kicked in the House, and it caused him all kinds of problems.
Yes. And I think to that point, if any of this stuff is going to get enacted and be effective in the sense that it's a deliverable to voters in the midterms, it needs to happen sooner than later.
Point. Yeah.
So I think they're working.
Dig that.
Yeah, I think they're running a no-huddle offense. When you were talking about what his workday looks like, they're playing a no-huddle. There's a tweet. There's a Truth Social post at 2:30 in the morning. There's a Gaza meme at 5 a.m.
Is he listening to Jimmy's radio show?
Yeah, you know,
He's probably posting about you, isn't he?
It's pretty funny. It's also funny. Like half of those cabinet meetings were at my stand-up show in Florida like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, this is really getting weird now.
I thought it was a remarkable moment yesterday to be in there and to see these people. And I thought Musk showed a lot of deference toward them, which was a smart move.
Yes, I agree as well. Bill Hammer's in studio. We're all excited about it. I think it was a great moment, and I like the transparency of what they're doing. You know, they have been pretty on camera, probably more than any administration will ever cover. He is, I mean, traditionally, if you were to roll it back a few administrations, beyond Biden, probably pre-Trump, you know, presidents usually saw a camera with a carefully curated statement to deliver to people.
You're right.
It's just a giant gaggle. Yeah. And maybe it's good. I think people like it. But I think what's going to happen going forward is I think we're going to get to this other conversation where, you know, there needs to be deliverables. And I think people like a lot of what's going on, and I think it's polling well. But I think if they have like tangible benefits, like, hey, the economy's better, or suddenly people are pretending to care about the price of eggs, even though we always should have cared about the price of eggs. Have you noticed it's become a little more fashionable in the last month than it was 2 months ago?
A little bit.
It's like they were $10 2 months ago.
Listen, I was looking at a cabinet room yesterday. I'm seeing Sean Duffy and Pete Hegseth, and I got Lawrence Jones asking questions, and James Rosen, who used to work. It looked like the Fox News green room. I don't think I'm wrong about that.
It's a funny moment for me because I'm watching the cabinet meeting, and I'm literally saying to myself, we have to get 2 more guest hosts for my radio show. They're in there.
Right.
They're not coming back.
So you text Lawrence and say, hey, listen, I got a slot, 12:40.
Help a dude out. Duffy and Hegseth are AWOL again. They're not responding for for whatever reason.
Holy cow. State of the Union is going to be big next Tuesday night. Look for the following line. Are you ready? Waste abroad.
Fraud and abuse.
Waste, fraud, and abuse. Thank you.
That's the go-to.
No one likes it. All independents, Republicans, Democrats, they all do not like it. But when he says it, does everybody in that room applaud?
Yeah. That's going to be interesting.
And who chooses to sit down on that? I'll be one moment significant next Tuesday.
I agree with that. But the one thing that's fascinated me is DOGE cuts and weeding out waste, fraud, and abuse are popular issues, but they have fought him on this. And I don't know why, because it seems like a losing issue. Do you think any of this has to do less with the substance and more to do with the rat race to become the front runner in the Democratic Party? Is any of this jockeying for position?
I don't know. I mean, perhaps. I think really, fundamentally, it comes down to how people view government.
Yeah.
And whether or not they see government as an asset in their life or a liability.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a pro or is it a con? And I think you're seeing, Democrats see it one way. Mm-hmm. Republicans see it another way.
Agreed.
And it's kind of a 180. And I think that's what's starting to emerge here.
All right, I'm going to phone a friend on this issue because this is the fork in the road. He'll settle the tiebreaker between how do we see things.
Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
And I agree with Reagan. And I think when you watch a lot of what's going on right now, I think a lot of people are starting to get it. There's a fork in the road where it's like either the government worked for you or you work for the government. Yeah. And when you see them spending money on a lot of things we didn't really invest in emotionally, you kind of feel like you work for them. And I think if they can reverse that to a place of more accountability, I think that would be a huge win for them. So we'll see. Last question, Hemmer. This is the last question, and then you're free to go make your fancy TikToks or whatever's going on in Hemmertown, USA.
Pulling up my socks.
Social. You're now. Do I have to bring you on as an influencer now instead of the co-host of America's News?
Hell no. By the way, never.
Hemmer and Dana are going to go to the Fire Festival. They're going to be down hanging out in cots with Billy McFarland.
You'll be on lit.
I don't think it'll happen. But baseball season is starting in about a month. And at the moment, I would like to extend the courtesy of some well wishes to your Cincinnati Reds.
Okay.
On them maybe surprising people in that division.
I think it's a great point.
Right?
I think toward the end of last season, people were thinking that way. Mm-hmm. They've got a great new manager.
Yeah. And they kept Ellie, and that matters. There's talent on that team. And the one thing I was going to say about the manager is, if he could win a World Series,
brother, he came out of retirement.
I know to
manage his old team.
I know,
and he's been there before.
I know,
and he means business,
and that's what I mean.
By the way, he's a quote machine too.
Yeah.
By the way,
yeah, you talk about a guy who's on camera. Yeah, if you're that's funny. If you're covering Francona, it's like covering the Trump White House. He's doing gaggles on the plane. He's hanging out. I love this. But yeah, are you so excited though? Just even for the day-to-day momentum of baseball, I just can't wait to get it back.
Okay, all right, I'll give that to you.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to golf season.
Oh yeah, you
I
are.
look forward to Masters weekend.
No, that matters.
Where you can post up and rot on your couch.
And we got some Tiger at the White House last week. We've come full circle.
Isn't it amazing how shy he is in front of a camera?
It is crazy, right?
He holds back.
Yeah, he wanted nothing because it's
nothing, and he's been that way. Do you remember when he got that medal?
Yeah,
Congressional Medal of Freedom, whatever it was, in the Rose Garden.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't come with a prepared speech at all. He was just like ad-libbed it.
Yeah,
and it went like 3 minutes long. It was like, it's good to be here, thanks, and bye-bye.
But what's so funny is he doesn't have the energy of a guy who's shy in front of the camera when he misses a putt. You know, they're usually covering up microphones when he misses a putt.
That's his space.
He's a competitor.
And this deal in the East Room the other day, that's not his comfort zone.
So you're saying he has a switch? You know, Jordan would say he probably has a competitive switch.
I just think he doesn't want to be out there.
Makes sense. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, Bill Hemmer just diagnosed Tiger Woods from afar.
I would put him in the booth for every single golf tournament there is.
Let's go.
And just let him examine it without putting him on camera.
Yeah.
Just his voice and a microphone.
Be there as a guy. That's actually riveting TV. He's probably going to get a live golf offer now just because of that. The money's flying around. We got to go to commercial and try to catch some of it. The great Bill Hemmer, everybody.
Thanks, Jimmy.